just talk about the Michaela School in London, which is Catherine Birbalsing's school that she set up. She's known as the strictest headmistress in Britain. I think that's misleading, personally. She has set up the school on very secular grounds. She has a very a mixed population of different faiths in that school, and is, above all else, is gaining extraordinary results. She's now been taken to court because an Islamic family and group have effectively said a 9-year-old girl's, and this is how I've taken it from the Times, 9-year-old girls basically is not allowed to have a prayer room, effectively. Her view is that secularism works in this school because there's multi-faiths. She takes that approach and she believes it's been working. And now we find that she's been taken to court. I think, I'm told, according to this article, even legal aid is going to be made available to fund the case. I find this bizarre. It's a case she must win. When have we had it that head teachers achieving outstanding results, right, need to be backed by the state, if anything, for what they're doing, not funding court cases against them?
Yeah, I think this is one of those things that will be massively polarising. But she herself took to Twitter and put out, or now known as X, she put out a statement about the importance of this case, and she talks. There's a point I can read from what she said.
Yeah, do.
But she said that some Jehovah's Witness families have objected to Macbeth being a set GCSE text. Some Christian families asked that we do not hold GCSE revision sessions on Sundays. Some Hindu families objected to dinner plates touching eggs. And our Muslim families have signed up to the school knowing that we do not have a prayer room. We all eat vegetarian food so that we can break bread together at lunch where children are not divided according to race or religion. Now, it's pretty, I can imagine it is pretty uncomfortable for people. She actually makes the point that nobody really wants vegetarian food, but it's the best way to adhere to the various needs of the community that she's serving. But one of her biggest things, it's not actually that she has a principal objection to prayer. She hasn't got a problem with the Islamic religion. Her challenge is that the prayer room meant that pupils would be wandering around the school at various parts of the day, unsupervised, and it led to an unsafe situation. So she's taken this very, very big decision. And I think you're right. I think this is a big trial. I think this is a big issue. And, you know, Catherine she's courted controversy, let's face it, for most of her career. But she's done that while achieving fantastic results, which do have to be taken into consideration.
And she's doing this because actually people started to put sort of anoraks down and start doing prayers and wanting to follow guidelines of this particular faith, which she said, unless you take corrective action, and I'm quoting here, children inevitably end up separating themselves into social groups along the same dividing lines that separate groups in wider society. She doesn't believe that school is the starting place for that. She's going for a much more holistic response by making it a secular school, isn't she?
Yeah, and I think she's trying to say that she doesn't want people not to observe their religions or to follow religion, but that in school, the school kind of day and learning has to take priority, as does the cohesion of a very, very
and this faith, the Islamic faith, doesn't demand that children go down and say prayers 5 days a week, you know, again, highlighted in this article in the Times. If anything, the Quran is quite lenient on what children have to observe. And by the way, if you've got an opinion or you think that the school are wrong to challenge this court ruling, or I'm wrong in anything I've said, do call me 03444 499 1000. And of course, share us your view on this school being taken to court to challenge its secular foundations, i.e. there's no religion, effectively, that's as a foundation of this school, just like vegetarian meals, which I think, by the way, is a really good example of how to avoid division.
Yeah, I mean, it's a choice, obviously, for people to go to this school, and it's clearly a school that's very much in demand because of its results. But it is, you know, she's taken some quite significant action, and the school governors have, I mean, they voted 11-1 which, I mean, it's been termed as to ban prayer, which I think is, you know, it's sensationalising what they actually did. I used to be on a governing body as a chair of governors for a primary school, and I would
was that in London?
That was in London, yeah.
So you would have had multi-faiths.
So yeah, we did, and you know, and not just that, but we had, you know, pupils of mixed abilities. We had children with physical disabilities. There are so many competing demands on the school system, and the types of things that you have to create provision for. But I think what Catherine was specifically saying about this, and what the governing body have backed, is that those needs that were being met were actually harming the children. In her view, they were harming the school environment, how children interacted, how they interacted with staff as well, and that by actually changing the way that people observe their religion within the school day has been able to help in terms of community cohesion.
I also think there's, you know, maybe it's unsaid because, and I think I'd be right to be challenged on this, but in this particular school, it's working. And along with everything else she does, they have excellent results, outstanding results. Most of these kids go on to Russell Group universities, okay? So how is it in a 9-year-old child's interest to put religion above results? I don't understand that. That, to me, is at the heart of this. I do not understand why a parent, a decent parent, who wants the very best in education, would think this is so life-changing that their child cannot follow a prayer routine at primary school to jeopardise outstanding success at a school. And
I think I mean, I don't follow a particular faith. My son actually goes to a Catholic school, although he is not of the Catholic faith at all, and he doesn't attend certain services that they do. He used to do a terrible version of the cross, which used to horrify me because it looked like he was in a music video rather than doing it with the sort of respect that it deserved. And I have to say that I think there are parents for whom faith is a big deal, and we should respect that, but that doesn't mean that you can still have faith as a big deal. But you can compromise, and I think that's the point, that I'm sure behind all of this there have been endless conversations and probably public meetings and discussions that we're perhaps not seeing as part of this process that would have been.
That's a fair point you make, to respect the faith. I suppose I would say is, you knew what you were joining when you signed up to this school, and now you want to disrupt that excellence in education that you signed up to as a parent. But
to be fair to the parents, when they signed up, they did have a prayer room, and they did have this situation was not as it is now. They have changed things.
Sure.
So those parents at that point need to make a decision. Now, those parents are now thinking, hang on, my child's at an outstanding school. I want it all the way it was because it suited me. However, those parents are not in that school every day. They're not seeing what
and the head teacher said it was disruptive and divisive and not good to cohesion.